Cheap steaks don't have to taste cheap. Let's fix them.
You might be on a budget, or you're just trying to feed a big group of people, or maybe even perhaps you've got a family member who insists on having their steak well done. There are a couple of things that you can do to dress up a steak to make it even better, whether it's a cheap steak or one that's overcooked. You can make it absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to show you how.
The first tip is to dry brine your steaks. It darkens the color, enhances the flavor, and tenderizes the meat. The second tip is to know your cooker. No matter how you cook it, do it right. And I'm going to show you my method in just a little bit. A good sauce can add some flavor to the steak. For this one, start with a stick of butter and melt it over medium heat. If it gets too hot, take it off to the side. And once it's melted, you can add the herbs and spices. This one is garlic, horseradish, mustard sauce, and I put the full recipe down in the description below. We're going to mix it up until everything is combined before setting it aside to cool. A little bit of wood can add flavor over just plain charcoal. I added a few pieces of hickory to provide a little wood smoke. Now, water is the enemy to a good sear, so always pat your steaks dry before putting it on the grill. A little oil can also keep them from sticking, and in this case I'm using rendered brisket fat, which will enhance the beef flavor that can be lacking in some of these cheaper cuts. For steak this thin, searing it first is the best option to avoid overcooking it. I like the cold grate technique, which sears the entire surface rather than just grill marks. Every minute or so I turn the grate and flip the steak. I'll link to a video that explains the cold grate technique more at the end of this video so you can check it out. This is also a good time to put a little bit more of that beef fat on the surface. Don't forget to give the edges a sear, especially if there's a fat cap. Once it's seared, I put it on the cold side and monitor the temps until it's done. Inkbird sent me their 6-port Bluetooth thermometer to test. It has an app that allows you to watch the temperatures, set alarms, and even has a graph feature so you can see how things are progressing. USB-C charging means you won't have to replace the batteries, and 2 cooks isn't enough testing to recommend it yet, but if you're already in the market, Inkbird will give you a 20% discount. And you can always view the temperatures right on the display. There's some debate if you should rest your meat, but I leave it long enough to dish up the sides and set the table. This allows the meat to relax after the cook and reabsorb the juices, and I'm pretty happy with these results. The only thing left to do is to try the butter sauce we made. Now whether you dip or pour, it's really up to you. This sauce really made the dish. Now you have some good tips on how to dress up a cheap steak.